Okay, so here we are with the Restoration and Augustan literature. So I'm going to speak about the rise of the novel. So yes, this is just for classe quarta A. And can you keep very close to you the photocopies you have received through WhatsApp, please? So remember, the keywords of the period are reason and common sense. I've got only 15 minutes to explain this to you, so I'm going to be quite quick. Going to speak restoration poetry, although one of a very clever boy wants to study John Dryden. Yes, so we are going to study him, but face to face or during our video conference, our meeting, our virtual meeting next Friday at 10 o'clock. Okay. I have to tell you something about that meeting. We only got 40 minutes. Okay. We can have another one on Saturday or on Monday, okay? So, restoration poetry, we can say, was quite particular because the metaphysical poets really were fashionable at the time and sometimes very difficult to understand and also to enjoy. So, I'm going to skip the poetry, but I'm going to stop on the prose, on fiction, because as I told you already, this is the age when the novel was invented, when the novel was created. And the novel was a sort of weapon for the new rising middle class. So the rational tendency were to be seen in the works of the rationalist philosopher John Locke and Thomas Hobbes, and in the scientist studies of Isaac Newton. So the new scientific attitude encouraged self-confidence and a belief in human progress, and this will be embodied in the character of Robinson Crusoe. I'm going to skip drama. We can't study everything, but anyway, remember that Charles II, although he was known as his court was known as one of the most corrupted court of all the British history, he was quite yes, he was important for culture. He was the founder of the Royal Society, and he wanted to open up theaters again after the gloomy, we can say, Puritan age. So about drama, we're not going to study anything, but we have to remember that the theaters, the structure of the theater changed because theaters had roof. They were artificially lit with candles. They had a curtain, to drop when the scenes were changed. They had painted movable scenery so the audience could understand where the scene took place, while during the Shakespearean period there were no scenery at all, but the language was very rich in order to have the audience understand and imagine the setting. During the Restoration Age, the first professional actresses started to develop, and so not only boys and men, but, well, at least it was a sort of progress for women. I'm going to skip this, but remember that this is the age of vices and follies of the upper middle class and painters and writers and of course a dramatist, the playwright, wanted to picture and to criticize them. Again, yes, I'm going to skip this. Okay, we are not interested. About the comedy of manners, well, this is important because in the future we are going to study the novel of manners, whose main representative is Jane Austen. But yes, we don't have the time to study comedy of manners, so I'm going to skip. While the Augustan age was so the features, the key concepts of the Augustan age, as we have already seen, were political stability, individualism, liberal thought and free will, optimism, reason and common sense, and a desire and need for balance, symmetry, and refinement. So probably this was due to also to the previous historical period after the Civil War, the Puritan Age. People, intellectuals, philosophers, writers, they wanted absolutely balance. They wanted political stability. They wanted, in one word, peace for the mind. The reading public. This is extremely important to remember. So the increase of the reading public in the Augustan age was due to the growing importance of the middle class, to the individual's trust in his own abilities, and to the practice of reason and self-analysis. So going back to the growing importance of the middle class, most readers were middle-class women. They used to borrow books from circulating libraries, and again, coffee houses. Never forget this. The reading public was interested in, how can I say, in knowledge. They wanted, as I told you, the new rising middle class had a lot of money, but they lack knowledge, they lack culture. So they really were hungry of culture. So journalism and the novels were the two, we can say, the two genres, the two weapons for the middle class. The most important journals were the Tatler and the First, were the Tatler and the Spectators. Their style was simply lively and the aim was didactic. So, for example, the Spectator, as the word says, used to watch the habits of the people, the customs, used to criticize corruption, for example, because, yes, everybody was interested in learning something. The novel, the novel was really a new sort of genre. It was invented in this period, and it was very important because the middle class wanted to identify themselves in what they read. So again, power of reason and individual trust in his own abilities and expressions. The novelist became the spokesman of the middle class. The father of the English novel is considered Daniel Defoe, as I have already told you that Aphra Behn was actually the mother of the English novel. But these are the writers considered the fathers because, yes, it's still a male society. So Daniel Defoe is considered the father of the realistic novel. Jonathan Swift for the utopian novel. Samuel Richardson for the epistolary novel. Henry Fielding for the picaresque novel or the comic epic novel. And Lawrence Sterne for the anti-novel novel. That is really funny. We're going to study him. The novelist's aim, well, he wanted to be understood widely, so he wrote in a simple way. He wanted to be realistic, not only linked to the life presented, but to the way it was shown. And yes, his most important economic virtue, since it was the bookseller and not the patron who rewarded him, he wanted to sell. The hero. The hero was usually the mouthpiece of the author. He or she was a bourgeois, self-made, self-reliant man, for example, Daniel Defoe, and the reader is expected to sympathize with him. All the characters have contemporary names and surnames like Robinson Crusoe. They struggle for survival and for social success. They are self-made men. The narrative technique, well, Daniel Defoe, yes, the protagonist is Robinson Crusoe, so he speaks in first person, of course. Samuel Richardson, because of the epistolary letter, of course, the writers of the letters write in the first person. Only Harry Fielding wrote used a third person narrator. So the pattern, well, for Daniel Defoe was fictional autobiographies, although remember that Daniel Defoe wanted to please the audience, and because of the Puritan taste, he he claimed that he found the diaries of a captain, Selkirk, and shaped them into a novel, in the novel of Robinson Crusoe. For Pamela were letters exchanged between the main characters, and for Harry Fielding the mock epic style. The setting was very detailed, so there was a chronological sequence of events, reference to particular times of the year or of the day. For example, Robinson Crusoe is very detailed in telling everything about his life. Specific references to names of countries, towns, and streets, and detailed descriptions of interiors, also of the interior of the house, to make the narration more realistic. Themes: real life, everything that could alter a social status, and the sense of reward and punishment, again, was still linked to the Puritan ethics of the middle class. Poetry, well, it's very interesting, poetry as well, but I don't know if, unfortunately, we got the time to study something. And again, we skip drama, and yes, probably we are going to study something by Alexander Pope, to compare him to the Parini, the Italian Parini, okay? So I'm going to meet you again on Friday in the virtual meeting on Zoom, okay? Hope you could follow everything in 13 minutes. If you've got questions, you've got my email, or we can meet again in Aula Virtuale, okay? Thank you.